Hi, my name is Rick Ritter, and I'm 65 years old, and I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And as you can see, it's a little cooler here right now. There's still snow on the ground outside, and but it's starting to warm up for spring. And I've been a disabled Vietnam era veteran for over 40 years now, and I was disabled by some Navy surgeons on a surgical table back in 1969, and that actually canceled all of my orders that I had for deployment to Vietnam. So in some ways, even though I came out of the surgeries disabled, it probably saved my life, at least physically, maybe even emotionally and mentally in the long run. So I've had a total of 13 knee surgeries. In addition to that, over the years, I've had cancer twice. I've had ongoing battles with asthma over the years. When I was about 40 years old, I developed asthma, and had several hernia surgeries. I've had several foot surgeries over the years, and had at times limited mobility, and as a result learned the hard way how to cope with physical loss, and ultimately being, to some extent or another, disabled. I certainly get around better than a lot of people. Even a lot of people my age, I get around better than folks that are supposedly able-bodied. But a lot of that has to do with good self-care and just taking care of business, as we say. I've been a trauma therapist for about 34, 35 years. I'm basically retired at this point, and primarily spend most of my time in my 5-acre garden and tending bees and other pollinators that I take care of. And in the wintertime I write for publication. One of the other experiences during my military time that had a really significant impact on my thoughts about physical loss and disability was the 5 months that I spent on an orthopedic ward at Bethesda Naval Hospital after my initial knee surgery. And I was on a 55-bed open ward with people that primarily had been medevaced out of Vietnam, and they had amputations, they had gunshot wounds, they had burns, all of them had orthopedic issues, but they also had other related issues physically. And we didn't really have visitors. We had each other, and we tended to take care of each other as best we could. Over the years, especially when I became a therapist with combat veterans at the Vet Center in Fort Wayne, it became clear to me that there was a need for resource materials for people with physical loss. When I wrote Coping with Physical Loss and Disability, the idea for the workbook was to have it be easily translated and to be basic and simple enough that anybody could basically understand it. And in addition to that, it would apply to any kind of a physical loss, whether it be amputations, burns, mastectomies, cancer treatments, paralysis, eyesight loss, hearing loss, whatever. I tried to write the book with that in mind, so that it wasn't a narrow approach to physical loss. My connection with Grace Mishler in Vietnam, we started talking about the idea of trying to get the workbook translated into Vietnamese, and I had attempted to work with the Vietnamese community in Fort Wayne. For a variety of reasons, that simply didn't work out. But over time, we've been able to get the Vietnamese version of the workbook finished and in the hands of people that hopefully it can help. I also wrote the book not only for people with disabilities, but also for their family members, so that hopefully there might be a deeper level of understanding about what kinds of struggles people with physical losses and disabilities go through, not only in the beginning, but as life progresses. The physical losses themselves change, and the impact that they have in people's lives change over time as people age and other factors come along. Sometimes other disabilities enter onto the scene as well. As obviously a person has to be somewhat literate in order to directly utilize the workbook, but hopefully it's also written so that it could be presented by someone else to individuals who are not as literate. I think that I'm really pleased with the fact that the workbook has been received in Vietnam as well as it has, and my hope is that someday perhaps an organization like the World Health Organization will take a look at the workbook and perhaps adopt it as something that they can use around the world with people that are disabled, because there's no reason for people not to be the best that they can be and be as healthy as they can possibly be, regardless of what has happened to them physically. And I want to thank the individuals. There are too many to list, but I want to thank the individuals that have assisted in the translation and the publishing of Coping with Physical Loss and Disability, the Vietnamese version. And I hope that many people will benefit from the workbook. Thank you.